Coming up on this episode, it's our 4th annual Super Bowl Prop Bet Spectacular. We're going to preview the big game and make a few select choices on aspects throughout the entire game. Stick around at Super Bowl Prop Bets right now. This is Up for Debate, episode number 136, recorded January 31st, 2019. Super Bowl Prop Bets 4. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Up for Debate, the debate podcast where the two hosts agree on everything. I am Sean Jennings, joined as always by our own national anthem singer, Matt Mariani. Matt, how long do you think it would take you to sing the national anthem?
I'd probably try to get through it as fast as I can. I'd probably actually try to time myself and make it like a beatable record. I'd probably try to get it to be like.
Could you do it in under a minute?
Like 20 seconds.
Whoa,
yeah.
20 seconds?
Yeah, I probably could do that.
Oh, boy. I'll be a nice co-host and not make you do that on the show, but...
Now, I was thinking, Sean Jennings, you have a name, all right, Sean, that can be there can be very many variations to your name, right? We have actually...
Oh, yes.
We have Sean McVay in this very Super Bowl.
A great Sean.
And of course we've heard of Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think that's quite the same.
Would you?
Sure.
Would you consider Alshon Jeffries an honorary member of the Sean organization?
Yeah, but what about like Deshaun Watson or Deshaun Jackson?
Exactly. Are you sad that your name isn't Deshaun Jennings?
You know what's really funny is there is a gentleman who I work with whose name is Dan, and he calls me Deshaun.
Deshaun?
Yes, because he thinks everyone has a nickname with
Remember
him.
Keyshawn Johnson?
I do.
Keyshawn
Are those?
Jennings?
I would say they're honorary. Alshon is pushing it. I think Deshaun and Keyshawn are honorary Shawns.
Honorary Shawns? Okay.
Yeah, because Alshon...
Glad you have a boundary there.
If it were like A-L-S-E-N or A-L-S-H-A-U-N, I'd get it, but it's, what is it, A-L-S-H-O-N?
I thought it was A-W-N.
No. All right.
Alshon Jeffries.
Yeah, it's A-L-S-H-O-N.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's not really Sean. That's a bit over the line.
Okay. Fair enough. I guess.
But who am I to say? I'm just.
See, that's the thing is Matt's are usually. I mean, the most exciting thing that happens with Matt's is it 1 T or 2 T's? I've met Matts that only have 1 T.
What do you think is the greatest Matt to ever play football?
Matt Hasselbeck.
Really?
He's the first one that pops into my head.
I think maybe Matt Ryan comes to mind.
Oh, Matt Ryan. Okay. Well, yeah, all right. He's probably a little bit better, but not much. Matt Ryan.
Matt Barkley.
Are there any Matts in the Hall of Fame?
That seems like something somebody who isn't me would know. Well, there is the new head coach of the Packers, Matt LaFleur.
That's right, Matt LaFleur. Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of good Matts in football. Matt, we're here tonight. It's our 4th annual Super Bowl Prop Bets Spectacular. I think one of the few, if not the only gimmick we do on the show that actually works and we like, unlike some of our other disasters. And I'm so thrilled we're back for year number 4, and we've got an exciting list of prop bets we're going to get to tonight, including our preview of the game. We're even going to pick who we think is going to win. But, Matt, before we get to it, got a little controversy at the top of the show to talk about. You've got a bit of a beef with the NFL regarding the NFC Championship game 2 weeks ago. Tell the folks at home. I'm sure there's been almost no talk of this on sports news, so
not at all.
You might have to kind of break it down for folks.
No, right. So, as I was saying, kind of before the show, if we had run an episode, the week of the NFC Championship game, I would have been spitting fire. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I would have been just smoke would have been coming out of my ears. Absolutely. Anybody that follows me on Twitter knows I've tweeted at the NFL. I've tweeted at multiple teams about this, and I've gotten some traction. I've gotten some beef. I've gotten some haters in the process. But all right. So I liken myself currently. I think that I really do believe that everyone is entitled to two teams. They can like 2 teams. All right.
Okay.
I think that you have your favorite team, like your like kind of like your favorite. It could be the home team,
Sure.
where you're from. It could be a team that you've gained affection for over the years, something like that. I've always kind of seen myself as kind of a Jets Giants fan, just being from New York, and I think that I can comfortably root for the Jets when they're not playing the Giants. I could root for the Giants all year round, and but there is another team that I do consider myself a fan of, and that's the New Orleans Saints. And I picked them up around the time of Hurricane Katrina and just kind of followed their meteoric fall and then rise like their Phoenix-esque rise after that, winning the Super Bowl like they did in 2009. And that saying, being a Saints fan, I watched, they were definitely my pick of these four teams that I wanted to see win the Super Bowl.
Sure. I mean, the Giants and Jets certainly weren't going to win it. So
no, absolutely not. And they've been absolute crap. But the NFL had other plans with their call. I'm sure everybody has seen the tape. Their blown pass interference call, their missed pass interference call, thereby immediately and effectively dictating the game and determining. Yes, they did. They determined the outcome of that game in that exact moment. The game was determined, and it's an example of ref ball. Okay, I don't know if you've heard the term ref ball, but that's like where the referees think that they're as important, if not more important, than the players, and they decide to determine single-handedly the outcome of a game. And that's what happened there. Saints got robbed. Saints got absolutely robbed in that moment. They took the Super Bowl right out of their hands.
They were basically hosting the Lombardi Trophy, and they just took it away from them.
Now thinking back and having passed, I don't know if I actually. I mean, of course, I wanted to see the Saints go to the Super Bowl, but I don't know if it would have been the best thing for my mental health or emotional well-being, because I don't. Not that I don't think they would be able to beat the Pats. I think that there's a possibility they could have. But I think it would have been really hard, especially the way that the Saints struggled against the Rams, which they absolutely shouldn't have. On paper, they should have blown that team out of the water, especially in New Orleans, because I don't think the Rams are that good, Sean. I'm just going to come out and say it. I know that they're kind of like the darlings of the NFL, and they're in the Super Bowl. So obviously they're good, and I'm not saying that they're a bad team by any stretch. I think it would be foolish to even say that they're a bad team. I don't think that they're as good as everybody's saying they are.
Well, okay.
People are making them out to be like the greatest team that's ever played,
no.
and I really don't think so.
But then again, last year's Eagles weren't the greatest team that ever played the game, and they won the Super Bowl. So, for me, we'll get more into this later in the episode, but I've always been of the opinion that to win a Super Bowl, you just have to have it's the most balanced team wins the Super Bowl, right? It's not that you have really good offense or really good defense. You got to be at least decent at both. Now, you give the Rams credit, not the best offense on the planet, not the best defense on the planet, good enough at both. Solid run game, decent pass game, pretty good defense. That's all you need. I think the Saints are more talented than the Rams. I certainly think that's the case. I think the Saints would have given the Patriots a better game than I think the Rams will. Not to say the Rams won't win, but and I agree with you. As much as I like the Rams and I like their sort of young upstartness, I would have enjoyed seeing the Saints as well. But Matt, it's insane to say the refs stole that game from the Saints. That's all right. So let me break down.
I'm going to let you say your piece. I'm going to let you say your piece. All right.
Let me break down a couple things here. One, that was pass interference. Not going to debate that.
And let the record show that the NFL not only declared it posthumously, they declared it pass interference, but it was also helmet-to-helmet contact. That was actually two penalties on that play.
I'm going to come back to the helmet-to-helmet, but that was absolutely pass interference. That's one. Number two, I will 100% agree. The NFL rules need to change. The rules are not working. The rules are broken. However, the rules are the rules as they stand today. And you and I have the benefit of seeing this play over and over in every conceivable angle in slow motion. But when you watch a real-time angle from where the ref was standing, it is a hard play to call from that angle. Now, look, again, was it the wrong call? I don't disagree with that. It was pass interference. But at that speed and at that position, that's why you need a challenge system for penalties. Again, the rules are bad. I believe the ref followed the rules based on what he saw from his position on the field.
Okay. First of all, I will respond. I agree that next season, and I actually think that will be. I don't think it's a stretch to say that will be an outcome of this decision.
Sure.
As many sports analysts and coaches have pointed out that they believe that due to this very call, there will be repercussions, and I think those repercussions will come in the form of challengeable penalties.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't really disagree with that. I think that the referees are human, and we're never going to have a perfect system, but I think that I don't see why I never really understood why penalties couldn't be reviewable in the first place. I mean, from a time perspective, like, yeah, it's okay. It might add on a little bit of time, but I don't think it's going to necessarily open up the floodgates. As soon as you limit challenges, right? The referee or coaches only get 2 challenges per half. So, who's to say, you can't just use those 2 challenges are also applicable to penalties.
But a challenge is a little bit different than challenging a play, because a play, it's like you have to have legitimate proof that the play has to be overturned. Otherwise, it stands. But most penalties really are judgment calls. Where do you draw the line between what is and isn't pass interference? That really is a referee's opinion. And I think those are harder to overturn. Now, I don't know if the right system is coach penalties. I've also seen proposed that you have a dedicated replay official in each stadium who's one on offense, one on defense, and their sole job is to raise their hand and say, hey, stop the game. We're reviewing that penalty. Hey, stop. Which they didn't do in the Saints game. And reasonably, you didn't need a coach challenge. It's just someone had to challenge it. And the NFL the current rules aren't set up for that. For someone to say, hey, that might have been a mistake. Let's check it out. But I will say one other thing, Matt. The Saints did not lose the game on that play.
Yes, they did.
They still let the Rams tie it up, and then they threw a damn interception in overtime. So they were
obviously demoralized.
Would it have made it easier for them to win had that been called? If that had been called, of course it would have been way easier for them to win. I don't disagree with that. Were they robbed of a better opportunity to win? Sure. That was not. They blew the end of that game. They had every opportunity to win it. Even without that call, they were still in great position. Their defense let them down, and their offense let them down. So come on.
The way that I see it is that call would have locked up the game, right? They would be within striking distance. They'd be inside of their own 10.
Again, nothing is
with
certain.
Over a minute, like just a little bit over a minute left, right? They could have whittled down the clock, kicked a field goal, game over.
I don't disagree, but again, I'm not.
Obviously, it's not a guarantee. Anything could happen. Like aliens could have invaded and stopped the game. There's a probability that they might have lost. Like 99% likelihood they would have won though, if that penalty had been called. The game 100% came down to that one penalty. Now,
it didn't.
Here's what I'll say. There were some instances where. There were some instances where the game was winnable prior to that. Yes. I mean, the very first drive where the Saints almost had that touchdown and the tight end slipped through his hands, they ended up kicking a field goal. If he had scored that touchdown, they would have won. All right. Following play, the very similar situation happened where they were forced to kick a field goal instead of get the touchdown. They score there. They could have won. Yes. Gameplay impacted that point. And made the situation what it was. But I'm not arguing that. But what I am saying is that was a very
it was an important call.
Impactful. It was the most important part of the game.
They did not lose the game because of the call.
Yes, they did. No, they lost it because of the call.
No, they didn't.
I'm going to tell you why. Because from that point on, the Saints were completely kind of just knocked it. You know, you ever get that feeling where somebody knocks you off your game? You get
Yeah, but
razzed.
that's bullshit
because
because that's in their heads.
knocked
That's
out.
not anything to do with a penalty.
It got in their heads. It got in their heads because
maybe
of
it
the
shouldn't have.
obvious
That's on
of the
them.
blown call. It was
Come on.
it was so obvious
Get out
that
of
should
town.
have been pass interference.
Oh, what's sit there
But
cry on the side?
No, they weren't
The
crying.
NFL, boo-hoo.
They were distraught because they couldn't
Oh, boy.
believe.
And through their
They couldn't
tears,
believe
they
the refs
watched.
could be that bad at their jobs.
Get
Which
out.
brings me to my
Stop
second.
that.
So that was my first point.
Oh,
was
boy.
that next year all penalties will be reviewable and it will be a good
No, they can't.
and it
do
will be
penalties.
a good thing.
They'll be a
Now my
system.
second point, to refute what you were saying before about how the referee wasn't able to see that penalty. All right, I've watched the GIF, I've watched the video many times, and I agree with you. It was a bad spot if you're the referee to be able to fully see and appreciate the call. However, there was approximately 4.7 seconds between that missed call opportunity and the start of the next play. In that window of time, you had to know that the stadium jumbotron, now it wasn't at the game, but you had to know that the stadium jumbotron was showing that over and
But-
over and over again
Hang on.
as the fans were booing louder and louder
First
and
of all-
louder. And the referees at that point had the opportunity to call one of the side judges, call a timeout. Let's get him to a huddle. Let's have a meeting about it. The last play, the previous play is under review, and they're going to talk about it, and then
Matt,
they could have made the right call
You
right
can't-
then and there.
You
They could
can't
have
do that for a
Yes.
penalty.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't. Name
No, the
a single
rule says you
instance in
can't.
an NFL game where the referees looked up, saw the jumbotron, and then put a penalty under review.
Maybe they should start doing that.
But again,
there's
change
nothing in
the
the rules that
rules.
they can't. Is there anything in the rules that they can't do it that way?
I'm not an expert in the NFL rules, Matt, but there's a reason why it's
There
never been
are-
done.
But there are circumstances where referees have called late penalties. That has happened.
But
as long as
never
as
doing
long
it
as
off
the next
the
play.
jumbotron. That's like
No.
they explicitly tell refs not to do that.
But there has been situations where referees have called late penalties.
And by
that
the
has
way,
happened.
every stadium on the planet, when there's a questionable call, right or wrong, everyone in the crowd, oh no, boo, and the jumbotron plays it. What was okay? So that,
Well, you would have had to have thought that at least one of those line judges would have seen it. Like, and nobody saw the blatant
But
pass
again,
interference.
it was such a fast play, and the contact between players was not long. And that was my earlier point about the helmet to helmet. I think that's an even more difficult call to play at that speed, thing to call
Right.
at that speed. That one especially to me is like, I get in the slow motion, it looks that way. Those calls never get called in real time because it's so hard to
They would have
judge.
had to, after they reviewed it, they
But
would have also called
Again,
it.
I wish there was a rule where a referee could look up at the jumbotron and say, "Whoa, hey, timeout! I might have blown that." That doesn't happen in today's NFL,
then-
whether it's against the rules or just not a common practice.
How about when they go over to the camera well and they look at when plays are called, like plays are challenged?
Plays, not penalties. Plays. That's the difference. If this were a play, if this was a line marker on the field, how far did they get? If it was a touchdown or if it was an out of bounds, they would have reviewed that.
You're going to tell me
Penalties
that
don't work that way.
is it against the rules for the referees to look up at the jumbotron and say, "Oh shit, we missed a call. Let's look at that again."
At least it's
I don't
frowned
think it
upon.
says it in the rules anywhere.
At least it's frowned upon, seriously. And this is
By
true.
who?
By the way, this is true in other sports. In
Who
sports
frowns upon
stadiums.
that? I don't. I think that would be fine.
But again, then write it into the rules. I'm not going to get mad at the refs for following historic NFL protocol and the rules that are already in the book. I'm
Well,
sorry.
what about for not doing their job and making the right call? on
Again,
that play?
it's a questionable call. NFL referees every single week are the head officiating office every week watches all the games from that week and scores each referee on the calls they make and the calls they didn't make. And the referees with the better scores get playoff games and eventually the Super Bowl. They're graded. It's their job. You're going to make some, you're not going to make some. It's going to happen. To me, this was not the world's most obvious in real-time call. Oh my God, how could he? Again, not a great call, but I'm not going to beat these guys up for missing something that I think a lot of referees could have missed. It sucks. I'm sorry for the Saints. I think they're a better team than the Rams. It's unfortunate. It happens in every sport. It's just how it works. I'm sorry. Don't boo. I mean, come on.
Now let me ask you this question, Sean. do you think that this was an inside job?
Okay, is
Is Roger
this
Goodell
the
behind this
referees
whole
from
thing?
California bullshit?
Is he? Well, yeah. You know what? There's some strong evidence out there, and
Bullshit.
I have to say I'm not usually a believer in these conspiracy theories, but I have to say that I of all the conspiracy theories, this one's not the worst.
This is one of those dark paths you don't want to go down. Once you start questioning, oh boy, Matt went to the University of Arizona. Maybe that means he's a Cardinals fan. I think that means he can't work Cardinals games. I mean, that is you got to give these guys. And by the way, this wasn't just some like ticky-tacky preseason game no one cares about. This was an NFC championship game. The refs playing this were extremely established. And once again, I will point out for the 100th time, the Saints did not lose on that play. They didn't win on that play, but they didn't lose on that play. They had plenty of opportunity to blow it themselves.
Now let me ask you, but now see where I was going. That was part of it. But you say don't walk down this path, but I have walked down this path, Sean. I've begun the process. All right.
Don't do it.
Does it have anything to do with the size of the market involved?
Oh, now
New Orleans being a very small, relatively small market.
No, Matt.
LA being a large market.
Absolutely not. They're having trouble selling Super Bowl tickets this year because no one gives a shit about the Rams because they're new to LA and no one in LA is a football fan. They would have loved having the Saints. The Saints has one of the best fan bases in the league.
And it would have been in Atlanta.
And the storyline with Drew Brees, are you kidding me? That the league would have shit their pants. And by the way, if the league really wanted to fix shit, they would have had the Chiefs win over the Pats, and just a couple of calls in that game could have changed it.
Oh, yeah. We haven't even talked about that game, but I mean,
a
lot of people were mad about the neutral zone infraction. I didn't really see a problem with that.
He was over the line.
Roughing the Brady?
Yeah, that was bullshit. Look, I'm a
me.
Patriots fan. That was bullshit. I don't disagree with you. But again, that's my point. Every game has
roughing the Brady.
Has bad penalties and bad calls. It's called refereeing. They're people. Matt, you're a baseball fan. Should we go to a world without umpires and the computer box just tells us whether it's a strike or a ball? I mean, that's the direction we're heading.
I don't necessarily want that.
It's just part of the turf. It sucks that it's at such a high profile game to a team that got, the miracle catch in Minnesota the year before got taken out of the playoffs. I get it. It sucks. I'm sorry. But don't make this a big federal case, which they literally did. So, I don't know. I mean, Matt, I think we've gone long enough on this. I think, believe it or not, I think we're almost on the same page in some respects. We're both sorry Saints.
I mean, I'm kind of behind it. Yeah.
The good news is they've got a really solid team. They're going to be back in the playoffs again next year.
I don't know, unless the referees have other plans.
That's right. Out to get New Orleans for some reason of all the teams. I was thinking, very quick question, then we really do have to get to picks, but I was thinking about this before we came on the air, and I wanted your opinion on this. What NFL team would you never want to see win a Super Bowl? What team, when you look at it, you're like, oh, I would be so mad if they won a Super Bowl.
Right now?
Yeah.
I mean, the first team that immediately comes into my head is the Patriots.
Oh.
I've just had enough of them. I've never really been a Pats hater. I mean, we owned you guys twice in the Super Bowl, which was awesome. I wasn't really a big Giants fan back then, but I wish I was, just to get to revel in it.
Moment of glory.
But yeah, you know what? Besides the Patriots, who I think are in a category on their own. God, maybe the Rams. Maybe they would be second because I just don't care about them. I hate LA, even though I've never been there. I just don't think that they have the best fans. I mean, even if you look at like other sports, their fans are just crazy.
Okay.
I maybe don't want to see the Rams win because I don't think it's like they're like a non-team. I don't know. They're the team that I always forget about. I totally forgot they even existed until.
Wow, you're really gonna love this Super Bowl.
You wonder why I'm still 56% sure that I might not watch it. But
wow.
Besides these two teams,
no, those are good answers.
Yeah, I don't know what other teams
those are good answers.
I would pick to hate. I mean.
All right.
I guess I hate the Browns because they're the Browns.
Oh, that's but you gotta love the Browns because they're the Browns.
No, they just are just
No.
They need to just disband. Just get out. Just stop. Like,
okay. That's a pretty strong opinion for a team that sucked forever.
That's it. Just stop it. Like you can't have a monopoly on being shitty. Like other teams are pretty good at being shitty too. But just to be that like, oh, how they got so the game where they blew it, and then they were so bad that they ruined another team's season in the process. They blew it, and then Pittsburgh couldn't advance. Like,
yeah.
God, yeah, maybe the Browns would be my next team. Oh, although I do also hate the Redskins and the Cowboys.
Redskins are a really good pick, and the Cowboys would be mine. And then the other,
what? Just edit out the whole like last minute. I want to say the Cowboys. I want that to be my final answer.
Yeah, they suck. They definitely suck, and I would say the Redskins as well.
I hate the Cowboys.
They gotta learn a lesson. All right, Matt, we have got to get into the Super Bowl prop bets. This is our 4th year of doing them, which is very exciting. For those who haven't seen in past years what it is, if you don't know what a prop bet is, I don't actually know the textbook definition, but they're just bets on things that happen in sports games, and sometimes they're related to the game, and sometimes they're not. And so Matt and I, we make our prediction on these prop bets. We get points based on how correct we are, and then there's a winner at the end. Matt, we started our first year, you won. Our second year, you won. Last year, finally, I got my first victory, which was quite sweet. And so I'm excited to see who will come out on top, and we're going to start. We got a mix of classic bets we do every year and a few new ones for this year as well. And we're going to start with basically the first thing that happens in a game, the coin toss.
That's right.
Now, famously, Matt, you have chosen tails every year we've done this. And you've been right twice. I've been right once. It was tails, and then heads last year. Are you going to go with tails again this year?
Tails never fails. I'm taking tails.
Except last year when it
did in fact fail. I'm going to take it again.
Okay. I like heads. I'm taking heads, and I think the Patriots normally take heads. Given the choice.
It seems like they always do, yeah.
Of course, they don't use a real coin at the Super Bowl. It's always heads is the Super Bowl logo, and tails is the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and then they have their commemorative.
That's right.
I don't know who's doing the coin toss this year. Because they usually have some celebrity come in.
Yeah, usually a former pro.
Some kind of... well, wasn't it... The year was in Houston. It was George Bush came out and did it? George H.W.?
Yes, it was. It was, yeah. Mm-hmm. That was a while back.
A couple years. All right, well, good. That's an easy one. We'll get that one out of the way. Next up, Matt, one we've done every year as well. I was reading an article. It's the most bet on prop bet in this year's Super Bowl. More people have bet on this than any other aspect of the game. The national anthem. This is a favorite one. You take the over and the under. This year's line has been drawn at 1 minute, 47 seconds. It will be sung this year by none other than the wonderful Aretha Franklin.
No.
Not Aretha Franklin.
No. Gladys Knight.
Gladys Knight. That was very wrong of me. Scratch that. The irreplaceable.
I don't think it could be Aretha Franklin.
Gladys Knight. As soon as that came out of my mouth, I said, that can't be right. The
it
immortal.
would be pretty amazing if she would be able to sing it this year. But.
The Gladys Knight. Now, Matt, I will say last year, we both took the over, and last year's anthem was 1 minute, 53 seconds. To give you a point of reference, this year the line 147. Are you going to take the over or the under on this one?
I'm going to take the over.
You're going to take the over. Okay.
Yep, I'm taking the over.
And what are your thoughts on that?
My thinking, well, I want to hear what you take first.
Oh, okay. If you're going to take the over, I don't know. Your better money in Vegas is going to be on the under. Gosh, it's a tough one. The problem is there's two parts to this. A, how long do I think it's going to take? But also B, I got to beat you in this competition. So if we take the same thing, and whether it's right or wrong, we get the same points.
So were you planning on taking under or over?
No, I was going to take the over. My policy is with these anthems, and I think it's happened the last couple of years. I don't have the old lists in front of me. I just have last year's. But traditionally, it goes over. You're more likely to hit over than under. I think maybe only once it's gone under for us. So I think the over is a safe bet, but Matt, I'm not going to fall for it. I'm going to take the under.
Okay.
I got
Sean
to
takes
start
the
racking up these points. You know, I've never heard Gladys Knight do the national anthem, so I don't know if she's sort of a long singer or a short singer.
Well, Sean, funny thing is, she has done the national anthem twice before.
Okay.
One was for the BET Awards, and one was for something else. I forget. I think a charity event. And both times she was over the 1 minute and 47 second mark.
Someone did his homework.
Yes, indeed.
Son of a...
I came here prepared.
Gosh.
I can't let you tie this thing up, so I took the over, having studied. Also, think about the genre that she sings. Gladys Knight is Gladys Knight in the Pips fame, which I would describe as it's kind of like Motownish, right, or something like that. Mm-hmm. But she also has some very soulful hits in there too, and that tends to be a little bit longer and more drawn out. Plus, Atlanta is her hometown. I think she is going to milk it.
Wow. Damn. I'm really mad I didn't. I usually Google this kind of stuff, and I'm mad I didn't. I got lazy, and Matt caught me.
That's right.
Son of a... Okay. All right. Hopefully I don't regret that. I'm gonna just hope that they're really tight on time. They got to get the game started, and they're like, just wrap it up. Just wrap it up. But we'll see. Alrighty. Well, we'll see. Let's continue on.
Not likely because the game is on the East Coast, so the time usually when they I think they like to hurry things along on the West Coast when the East Coast is already at a later start time.
But I also don't, because what is it? Lady Gaga did it a few years ago. I think Gladys Knight is one of those artists where it's like, you're only still vaguely culturally relevant. Like, just do it, and
Yeah, but Gladys is a legend.
Yeah, but
and a hometown legend at that.
I don't know. I think you're going to win, but I'm standing by what I said.
All right. We will see.
Gosh,
again, you did say Vegas odds are in your favor, so.
Yeah, which is odd, but well, they know they don't have all the in-depth research you have.
That's right.
So now, Matt, let's get into some aspects of the game here, starting with who do you? By the way, these are all real bets you can go out and make. I should point that out. The question is, who do you think will be the first player to score a touchdown?
Is that the next one?
I'm doing them in no particular order. I'm kind of doing them in game order.
Can I pull a Philly here, a Philly special?
You betcha.
And inject a little surprise?
Please do.
Okay. I kind of made a bet up as we were doing our introduction.
Okay.
And I don't think it was on your initial list. Can I include it here? Okay.
Yeah.
The bet is colors of uniforms. Which colors do you think the Pats will wear? Which colors do you think the Rams will wear? Is that on your bet somewhere?
No, but the problem is, Matt, I think they already announced those.
Oh.
I'm going to Google it now. I thought I saw a headline that we're talking about... Yeah, no, they already know. The Los Angeles Rams will be playing in their blue and yellow throwback.
What? That was what I was going to bet.
Yeah, no, they are.
They were going to do the blue and yellow throwbacks, and the Pats would do. Are they doing their white away uniforms?
They like to. They've won more in white. I've only seen the article for what the Rams are going to do. I have to see. Oh, here we go. Welcome to the official Super Bowl uniform preview. Nobody cares. No, that's for the season.
I would have guessed they're white alternative away uniforms.
Well, like I said, they're 3-2 in Super Bowls where wearing the white jerseys. Yeah, they are going to wear the white road jerseys.
White road jerseys. Okay.
Yep. So.
Dang, I would have won that bet. I didn't even look it up.
Would have been good.
I knew the Rams were going to wear their stupid throwbacks. I knew
they've done it a lot this year too.
I think that their new uniforms look much better. I love the new logo, the blue and silver. I think that's really sharp. But I kind of take it back. I don't hate the Rams. They're not a hateable team. LA is just kind of a.
They're just an uninteresting team.
Yeah.
We'll get to that when we start to talk overall about the game. But this is, to me, one of the blandest Super Bowl lead-ups I've ever experienced in my life.
Indeed.
There's nothing interesting
for many reasons
storyline-wise about this game.
God, that's a perfect segue to get into the halftime show. But
Let's go for the halftime show.
No, let's go do this in order. Let's do the who scores first.
Let's do who scores first. This is the first touchdown, Matt. I'll go first on this one because you went first on the last couple.
Yeah.
Who's on first? Who's first?
Who's up first?
Who's first? I guess your question for this has to be, well, A, which team scores first, but also B, run or pass, right? I think.
Do we have to bet on both?
No. You're just picking one player, but this is sort of your question, right? Okay. You know, do you pick like a Julian Edelman, James White, Gronkowski because you think it's a pass? Sony Michel, run? Do you go Todd Gurley, C.J. Anderson? You go a Brandon Cooks or Robert Woods? You think it's going to be in the air? I think early in the game, teams traditionally try to run more into the end zone. They're running the clock down, less risky. They'll pass more as the game goes on. I think it's probably going to be, rushing, and I'm going to give it to. I'm really torn because I think it's either going to be Sony Michel for the Pats or C.J. Anderson for the Rams, and I'm going to give it to Sony Michel, I think, on this one.
Good. Okay. Sean, I'm actually also going to give it to the Pats, and I also think they're going to run it in, but I picked James White. White is the guy that I chose to score the first touchdown. I was actually torn between him and Gronkowski. But seeing that I think Gronk is going to have his hands filled with Aqib Talib all night, I think that they're just going to go for the rushing option here and hand it up to James White. James White has scored in, I think, for the 4 previous Super Bowls that the Pats have been in.
He's a huge Super Bowl player for them.
He may have scored in all of them. I just know that
he scored a couple touchdowns against the Atlanta in that particular game.
Yes.
He's a huge player. And he's a run-pass option. He can do both. He can catch and run. So that's definitely a great bet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a solid pick. But, of course, we're both assuming New England scores first.
That's right. Now, if the Rams were going to score first, I'd probably pick C.J. Anderson.
I agree.
But I'm thinking that James White is who I'm giving the first player to score. Mm-hmm.
Well, Vegas has the best odds for Sony Michel, followed by Todd Gurley, then C.J. Anderson.
Gurley is a good bet too. Throwback to Carolina, Denver, and we were so sure that Cam Newton was going to run it in.
We were real bad on that one. No.
He didn't even score a touchdown all night.
That was a really bad. That was an embarrassing.
Oh, that game sucked.
Matt, we did.
Shitty game.
I happen to have. That was the first one we did, and the record. So put it this way: last year's score, I won 8-6. You only get points if we're right. The first year, the score was 4-1. That's how wrong we were on. That's everything.
How wrong. Yeah. I just happened to be wrong the least on that one.
Congrats! I scored 1 point. That's bad. Alrighty, well let's keep going here. One of the bets we've got here is, will there be a successful 2-point conversion? We've never done this one before in a game. 2-point conversions, obviously a common part of football. What do you think, Matt? This is a simple yes or no. Nothing too complicated. We're not asking you how many.
I chose no.
You chose no. Okay, that's interesting.
I actually chose no. It's a moderately common part of the game, but I just think it's just not likely. It's not as likely as there not being one. I mean, there are more games that go by without 2-point conversions than there are games where 2-point conversions occur.
Sure.
And I don't think it'll be necessary in this one. I think a lot of people are picturing a shootout, but I have a very different picture in my mind of how the game's going to go, which I'll reveal when we talk about the final score. But
yeah, I mean, that really is ultimately your question: how close you think the game's going to be, right? Is one team going to pull really far ahead? That's really the only time you're going to get 2 points. And when I look at how these teams played in their championship games, Patriots coming out really aggressively, they were up significantly at the half, and looking at the Rams, who were significantly down at the half against the Saints. I think these are two teams who are kind of first half, second half different teams, right? They're big into coaching adjustments. So I genuinely don't think it would be surprising to see some 2-point conversions required because the first half was so aggressively out of balance. So I'm going to take the yes on this one, actually.
I think that's pretty sound logic there.
I think I agree with you. It's kind of a 50-50 toss-up, but I definitely think it could get there. I don't think we'll see a lot of them, but there'll definitely be some. Now, Matt, another question we got here on our list. Again, all real things you can bet on. Will they show the Saints-Rams missed call replay during the game? Again, another simple yes or no.
Right. Now, okay. Going in, I actually wrote down no on my paper, but now I'm thinking yes. Just the reason being, not that the NFL is going to lean into it by any means, but it's kind of a show of it's kind of I think that they're just it's just such a it was such a big part of that championship game that I don't think they're not going to be able to show it. I don't think they'll show it a lot because it was embarrassing for them, but I think just as a symbol of like it's over, it happened, we're past it now. I think they'll show it once, and one of the commentators will say something like, "Oh, and of course the controversial no call that brought the Rams here," or something like that. And then it'll be a one-note thing. They won't dwell on it for long. They definitely won't make any guesses or expound on what they think is going to be the consequences of it, but I think they will show it.
Okay. I think I agree with you. To me, I 100% guarantee they'll at least have it queued up, ready to go. I think it really only would come up if a similar play happens, right? I don't think they're just going to bring it up as a talking point, but if there is like a questionable pass interference call, they might replay it. It's funny, coming into tonight, I was going to bet yes, because I said, considering these pass interferences, and refereeing is going to be hugely scrutinized in this game, like intensely. I would not want to referee this game, God forbid, because it's a no-win situation. But, more than I think about it, I think, every year there are these, how many times will X happen during the broadcast, right? And traditionally, by the way, we don't like to do these because they're kind of a pain in the ass to watch. I included this one because I think it's pretty obvious when they'll replay this that they won't. We did one famously a couple years ago. How many times will they say Matty Ice on the broadcast? And you have to, listen to every single word they say. It's a pain in the ass. But I've learned over the years that they don't like to bring up shit like this during the Super Bowl. They don't like to bring up past like we were like, oh, how many times will Deflategate get mentioned? It's like they don't do, how many times will Giselle, Tom Brady's wife, be shown in the stands? They don't like to do that stuff during the Super Bowl. I just think they'd rather leave it where it is. I'm going to pick no on this one. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, certainly, but I just think they really like to make the Super Bowl about the Super Bowl and not like other NFL games.
Yeah. I think that if and when they show it, I think it'll be very early in the game. I think it'll be just kind of an introduction to where they show like how both teams got here. Yep. I think they'll do the same for the Patriots. I think
the pregame, I guarantee it will come up.
They'll show some highlights there too. Yeah, in the game itself, it's a lot harder to say. It's a lot harder to say. Yep. But I think that they will.
Okay. Well, Matt, let's get to the halftime show. Before we start talking about prop bets, this year we've got for the halftime show a band that hasn't had a hit for a few years. They're still back. Maroon 5 featuring rappers Travis Scott and Big Boy. I think that's something. What do you think of the halftime show this year, Matt? Are you sort of excited or very excited?
Well, if it was a scale of 1 to 10, my excitement would be like maybe a 3. Maybe. I really haven't enjoyed a halftime show. I think probably since The Who.
What?
I think The Who Justin Timberlake did a pretty fine job, I guess.
I think Bruno Mars does a fine job.
I don't like
Katy Perry was good.
I don't care for him.
Katy Perry was good. Come on.
All right. So the thing with Katy Perry is I didn't see that one live.
Oh.
I had car trouble that night, and I was kind of stuck on 95. So I actually only saw the whole Super Bowl. I actually only saw the very end of that game when Russell Wilson threw the interception.
That's right.
But that was actually I think the only Super Bowl I can remember that I missed the majority of. But so I had to go back and watch it, and yeah, she wasn't bad. Coldplay wasn't bad either. I'll give it that. Except they got kind of like stepped on and drowned out by who's that? Beyonce and Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars was there as well.
Decides he
just keeps won't leave.
Yeah. But I don't think I'm going to enjoy this Super Bowl. If there was a prop bet for that, I would say the Super Bowl halftime show, Freudian slip. The halftime show, I don't think I'm going to enjoy this halftime show. If there were a prop bet for whether like how much I'm going to enjoy this halftime show, I would say I'd definitely be under on that one. But I think that a lot of girls will like it because girls like or Maroon 5.
Sure.
They're basically the same in my mind.
Okay. I'm with you. I think on a 1 to 10 scale, my interest is 0. I don't have any, so I can't really give it a number. I'll probably watch some of it, but I don't care. I think the Super Bowl halftime is officially over, like in terms of a national excitement. Like I feel like there was a time where people like really genuinely looked forward to it, and I don't think that time exists anymore.
I'm not sure if this was before or after The Who. I think it might have been after, but Prince gave a really good halftime.
Yeah, Prince was a couple years before The Who. Prince may be one of the best Super Bowl performances of all time. I think halftime, I think you can really...
Bruce Springsteen gave a great show.
Yeah, he did. Even U2 was fine. The year they did it, Yeah, I just don't think anyone cares. I mean, the NFL can't find artists who are willing to do it, so it's...
Because they don't really get paid.
It's not a great gig, so...
It's mostly an endorsement kind of thing. And it's just a thing that you can say you did. Like, I played the Super Bowl. I did it. I checked that off my celebrity list.
But I do like, I'm reading this article here on sportingnews.com, list of Super Bowl halftime show performers. And I've never looked at like a full list. I've seen a few of these, but like in 1968 at Super Bowl II, it was Old Man Winter Takes a Vacation in Miami, featuring 7 local Miami area high school bands.
Oh yeah, they used to be great. There was one year where a magician did the halftime show.
Oh, that's right. The 3 Elvis Presto. I think one of my favorite of all time.
Why don't they do variety things like that anymore? They should bring that back. Why does it have to be a musical act every year?
For me, the best Super Bowl halftime has to be, and what year would that have been? It was, 1991, A Small World Salute to 25 years of the Super Bowl featuring New Kids on the Block. It was all Disney, A Small World, and they have kids from all over the world that nobody saw because the halftime show was preempted by the Gulf War.
By the Gulf War, yeah.
Awesome. That's right. In 1989 was Bebop Bamboozled, which was Elvis Presto. They really had a lot of Winter Magic. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. Oh my God, I forgot the Blues Brothers did it in 97, way after the Blues Brothers should have been doing it. Blues Brothers?
Like John Belushi?
No, this was James Belushi. This was Blues Brothers 2000 era.
Oh, okay. John Belushi may have been dead by then.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great. Anyway. Well, Matt, each year on the Super Bowl, we have a bet we do every year. Each of us pick 3 songs we think the halftime act will perform. We do it kind of back and forth draft style where, you pick one, I pick one, back and forth. We each pick 3, and we get a point for each one we get correct. Last year, we each bet 2 correct songs, so we got 2 points apiece. This is a great way to win our Super Bowl prop bet challenge. You can really rack up some points here. Now, Matt, I don't remember who went first last year. So I don't know who's going to pick first this year. How about this, Matt? You pick high or low?
High.
My D20 rolled a 17, so you get to pick first. Congratulations.
Hooray.
Your first Maroon 5. So I know you're a big Maroon 5
Yeah,
fan.
now, see, I actually had to enlist Katie on this one, and she helped me out.
Smart.
Just because I had nothing to go off of because I don't listen to Maroon 5. But my first pick, is this a serpentine or do I get to do all 3?
Nope, just one at a time.
One at a time? Okay, so we go back and forth.
Yep.
I'm going to take the one that I feel the strongest about that's on my list. It's Moves Like Jagger.
See, that would have been mine. That's a good pick.
Boom.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, that was like the first one I put down. I was like, this one was big. It still is. They're going to definitely do it. That
is a no-brainer for me. I think they'll definitely do that one. Which song is Makes Me Wonder? How does that go?
A little bit of it.
Well, I don't remember. Hang on, I'm going to play a little snippet of it here.
I know the one you're talking about.
Oh, yes. Okay. Vegas has that as the best odds song they're going to play.
Yeah.
And
I can sing it in my head, but I don't know the name of it.
Yeah, it goes.
Isn't it called "Makes Me Wonder"? Isn't that the name of the song?
Yeah, it's the name of the song. I just don't. Hang on, I'll play a little bit of it. Have a reason.
Yeah.
And you don't have the time.
Yeah, I did.
Really, that's their number one most likely to be played. I don't know if I agree with that. I'm still going to take it though.
Yeah, I think they will play it, but I wouldn't have picked. I would pick "Moves Like Jagger" as the number one.
Oh, for sure. No, you definitely nailed it. That's a guaranteed point. All right, Matt, you've got the next pick.
This one's a little bit of a underrated pick, but I'm going to go with it anyway. It's Animals.
Oh, see, that would have been. Oh man, you're stealing all my picks. No, I agree. Yep. That's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to think of these upbeat songs. That's what they like to
also,
play.
they've definitely. I'm pretty sure they've played the song. You know, when like right before they cut to commercial and they show like the scores. I think I remember them. Usually they play like little regional songs when they're about to cut to a commercial. But I remember Animals being one of them. So the NFL already likes it. So I think that could be one.
It's a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
Which song is One More Night? Okay. Playing a little bit. Yeah, that's a good pick. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take One More Night.
Okay. One More Night?
I think that's solid for a second pick.
I had that on my list. I ended up taking it out in favor of a different song.
You get to pick third. You get to pick your third song right now, Matt.
This one I'm going out on a limb. This one is...
No, don't pick the song I want. Come on. Don't do this to me. Come on. I'm going to be really mad.
It's going out on a limb because it is one of their newer songs.
Okay, then no.
And they perform it with Cardi B.
Okay.
And I guess in my mind, I have this idea that Cardi B might just like show up, like a la Bruno Mars, and like sing it with them.
Yeah.
The song's called "Girls Like You."
Okay.
And that's my pick for song number 3. I actually have never heard it before, but I know that it just said Maroon 5 featuring Cardi B. It came out last year, and it's new. So you know how very often the artists.
It's their new song.
Like to kind of promote one or two of their new tracks. And so that's my pick, Girls Like You.
I'm playing a little clip of it. You can't hear it, but I can hear it, and the folks at home can hear it.
So I have Girls Like You, Moves Like Jagger, and Animals.
Ooh, that's a pretty good lineup. I like that. For my last one, I'm a bit of a toss-up at this moment. This Love or She Will Be Loved. Because I think they always got to play one slower song.
And,
you know what I mean?
And they got to play one of their classics,
right?
For the older fans like us.
I just don't. This love has taken. I'm gonna say She Will Be Loved.
Sean, if we were allowed a fourth pick, that actually not She Will Be Loved, but
This Love would have been
This
yours.
Love, the one you didn't choose. I would have taken that one because that was like I don't know if that was their breakout hit. I think it came out around the same time as She Will Be Loved. Anyway, I think they were big songs. They were like establishing songs for them. I think that they would want to reach out to their like original fans that way. I think that's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, Matt, I got to be honest with you. I think we're going to go 3-3 on this. I think Maroon 5 only has so many songs.
It's not like Coldplay.
No, even Justin Timberlake last year had a pretty big discography. These guys, not as much. So I think we're going to go 3-3, but nonetheless, I still think some good picks. Got to stand by them. Now, Matt, we got to approach the end of the game here with some of these prop bets. Let's start with the Super Bowl record. Now, this year, Matt, the NFL set all kinds of records for point score, touchdown scores. We had the highest scoring game ever between the Rams and the Chiefs. The big question on everyone's mind, you can bet on this, will this Super Bowl total score between both teams combined beat the Super Bowl record of 75 total points? A simple yes or no. Will the combined score at the end of the game be more than 75 points?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say no. I'm going to say no. I think something that a lot of people forget here is and they analysts love to play up these offenses. Clash of the Titans, Brady, Edelman, Amendola, Gronkowski, White.
Edelman doesn't play for them anymore.
Edelman?
Or Amendola, I'm sorry. He plays for the Dolphins now.
Oh, did I say Amendola? All right. So I was listening to a podcast with Amendola in it. Yeah, that's right. But he was a Patriots wide receiver at a time. These are just names that I throw out there because they evoke like the Pats offense, but nobody's really talking about their key defense. I mean, on the other side, you have Gurley, you've got Anderson, you've got Goff. Like they play obviously the offense. These are some big offensive names. But I think what makes both of these teams really shine, and you said it earlier in the show, is that they're teams that can play both sides of the field really well, or at least well enough to be successful. And I think that this game is not going to be the shootout that everybody is predicting. I think that I don't think it'll be low scoring either, but I do think that it's going to be it's not going to be a no holds bar free for all. Both teams play a very good defense. I think that the key. And the Rams have figured my thinking is that the Rams have figured out something that the Chargers and Chiefs didn't. It's that you don't play zone defense against Brady ever. And I think that the Rams really shine when they're in a man-to-man set anyway. So Aqib Talib in there. They've got who are those linemen? Donald and Sue. I think this is going to be a close game. I think if they put enough pressure on Brady and really kind of get him uncomfortable, I think that they could force him into making some bad throws. He certainly looked beatable in the first half of the season, and as soon as teams figured that out. So yeah, that being said, I won't say any more, but I will just say that I don't think it's going to combine to beat that record.
Yeah, Matt, I think this is the first one all night I'm going to agree with you on. I'm actually going to back you up on this. And for me, it's not that these two teams aren't going to have strong offense throughout the night. I think there's a good chance of that. 75 is a lot of points. I mean, you think about it, a 28-28 game, that's 4 touchdowns each. 14 total touchdowns. That's only 56 points. I mean, 75 is a huge line to have to top. And so, do I think this will be a high? Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a 7-14 win or something like that, a 10-14 game. I don't think so. Boy, 75, I just don't. It's a record for a reason. Records are hard to break, and these two teams, I just don't. And the other thing you got to remember, too, is the Patriots historically are not big Super Bowl scorers. I think really the only exemption to that is when they beat Atlanta and had that big comeback. And that's partly because that game went into overtime, that they got some extra points on top. But most of the time, they usually don't top 30 in a Super Bowl. That's pretty rare for them, and you'd really have to do that to get even close to 75. So I'm going to agree with you, actually, and say no. I think that there's little likelihood of that happening. Now, Matt, we have got to get to the point in the show where we pick the game. We got to pick the winner and predict a score. You get a point for if you're right on either. For a maximum of 2 points. Matt, do you want to go first or should I?
I'm going to let you go first on this one.
Okay.
Sean, this is your team. Your team is in it for the 9th time since 2000. Not that there's anything fishy or conspiratorial about that. I'm sure they absolutely earned their place in that Super Bowl.
Matt, they've been in half the Super Bowls since the new millennium.
Yeah,
think about that.
And there's definitely nothing messed up about that. Nothing wrong with it. They're totally on their own merit.
You know, Matt, I was thinking about this the other day.
The NFL totally didn't pay me off to say that either.
Why would the NFL pay you to say that? They're just paying random people now to say nice things. You know, Matt, I'm a bit spoiled. I've grown up in the greatest sports city in America, Boston. The greater Boston, Massachusetts area.
I was going to say, you didn't grow up in Boston.
Hey, if you can call yourself a real New Yorker, I'm a real Bostonian,
of course
buddy.
I'm a real New Yorker.
Bull fucking
Why
shit
can't you
are.
you just say that you're from Massachusetts?
Which Boston is in. And you're from New York, which New York is in.
From Boston, sure.
Yeah.
I thought you were a Texan. Last year you were a Texan. Now you're a New Englander.
Yeah, but Houston's not the sports town. Boston is the greatest sports town of this millennium. And there's no debate that can be had about that at all.
Actually,
Go ahead. Pick another town.
There's totally a debate
Pick another town.
that can be had about that.
Pick another town. I actually thought about this. You pick another town.
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, please do.
I'll think about that.
Because it's not going to...
I'll let that stew over a little bit.
No, we're talking all of these. We're talking 5 Super Bowl championships, 1 NBA championship, 1 Stanley Cup championship, and 3 World Series. It doesn't get any better than that. That being said, by the way, I should mention, you correctly picked the Super Bowl last year. You did have the Eagles to win last year, so you got a point for that.
Do you happen to remember the score?
That the actual score, or the score?
No, the score that I picked.
You predicted 20-17.
Eagles 20, Pat 17.
Yeah.
That was dangerously low, right?
Yeah, they scored a lot more than that.
Yeah. I don't know why. Why did I think the Eagles' defense was that good? I don't know.
You know, Matt, I really thought long and hard, and I have to say, I think of all the Super Bowls we've done on the show, this is probably the biggest coin flip for me. I genuinely feel both teams could win this. Mostly because they're both just fine teams. I think both have underrated defenses. I think the Pats don't get enough credit for what their defense has done. Tom Brady, I think the least sacked or one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the league, because that defense the line does a great job of protecting him. I think Jared Goff is a bit underrated. I don't think he's great, but I think he's good enough to win Super Bowl. You got to remember, in this decade, Eli Manning has won 2 Super Bowls, and Nick Foles has won 1, okay? You don't have to be a great quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Okay, you got to remember, Eli Manning will probably end up in the Hall of Fame, which is one of the saddest sentences anyone has ever said in their lifetime. So,
or one of the best.
No. Look, you want to take credit for those Giants winning? Look,
listen.
The Giants won.
He is a piece in a larger chess set. I will give you that. He is the whole team is not Eli.
Look, in a world where we can say Nick Foles Super Bowl MVP, you say whatever the hell you want about Eli Manning. At this point, it doesn't matter. There are a lot of bad quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls. So Goff has every shot to win.
Eli is not a bad
totally with that.
Eli is a perfectly fine quarterback. I would take him any day.
Would
I might
you?
not put him in first string, but I would take him on my team any day.
Sure.
He actually would. Now that I think about it, he would really be, I think, the ideal second string quarterback. He'd bring in for like a play or two.
But it does make you realize how many second string quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, if only they had as good of a defense
as
those Giants teams had.
They're as good as the pieces
Man,
around.
Remember, anyone can be a Super Bowl champion, even you.
That's right.
Just look at Eli Manning.
At least when I play Madden, that's true.
I think when I look at these two teams, and you did a great breakdown. I'm sure you'll do a good breakdown when you pick your winner, and you did a good breakdown earlier. You know, the keys to the game, you got to get to Tom Brady. You got to sack the guy. You got to have him under pressure. He's got to drop back. He's not a mobile quarterback. I think the Rams have a really good shot to do it, and I cannot believe I'm going to do this. I don't even believe me as the words are leaving my mouth. I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. I can't believe I'm picking against the New England Patriots, who are not only incredible, but also my team. But I just think if
playing a dangerous game, Sean Jennings.
The simplest way for me to put it is to compare it to last year's Super Bowl. Are the Patriots better or worse than they were last year? And are the Rams better or worse than the Eagles were last year, right? The Patriots, I would argue, are about the same. Okay? I think the Rams are better than the Eagles were last year. That being said, if the Eagles could beat them last year, why can't the Rams beat them this year? The Patriots aren't that much better of a team. They're just older. That's really the only difference. And so it's going to come down. Goff's got to have a good game. You know, their running game won't save them. Matt, I'm going to pick the Rams. I'm nauseous at the thought.
You have a score?
Of course I do, Matt. I think the Rams are going to win it in an incredibly close. Boy, in an incredibly close 31-28 victory, and I think it's going to come down to a Zerline field goal.
Wow,
are you okay there, Matt? You look a little upset.
No, I'm not upset. I'm just kind of creeped out right now.
Oh no, go ahead, Matt. What's your pick?
Sean, I picked the exact same score. But with the New England Patriots winning.
By the way, I just made up that score in case
weird.
You couldn't tell right now.
That's just kind of eerie. 31. I have New England. I have it written down here. You can even look at it.
No, I 1,000,000% believe you. Yeah. I totally
New
believe
England
you.
31 and LA 28.
And you know what's great?
Same score.
Is that
different outcome.
We when we assign the points to the winners in this, we award the points separate of winner and score. So if you have the wrong winner but the right score, you still get the point. So it's kind of a moot point because we're both going to get it or lose it on the score. So
right.
Good job. No, what do you have for the Patriots? Come on. I'm thrilled, by the way, that you picked them.
Yeah. So all right. So my case for them is like you. I think this is going to be a very hard fought game. I think that the Rams are really going to step up. And I too agree that Jared Goff is a highly underrated quarterback. At the end of the day, though, I think that it's going to be a rope-a-dope situation. I think that the Patriots are just going to simply wear LA out. And LA is a team that haven't been there before. They have a relatively young head coach, who I think is much more prone to make mistakes. Certainly more prone than Bill Belichick is. He is good at making mid-game and late-game adjustments, but he's definitely no Belichick in that area anyway. And as much as I hate the team, I got to give the Patriots credit. I mean, they're just the guy. Belichick is a football genius. He's an absolute football genius.
Greatest ever coach of the game.
There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. And he has all of the things that a head coach needs to beat another head coach. He's got the wisdom, he's got the years, he's got the experience, he's got the plan. What more do you want? I just think that know-how and that uncanny ability to just kind of guess, like they say about chess, it's not about beating your opponent as much as waiting for your opponent to make opportune mistakes. Mm-hmm. Like capitalizing off of errors and mistakes of the other team is what Belichick is great at. He's excellent at doing. Patriots are also the most disciplined team in the NFL. They have one of the fewest, I think the fewest penalties called against them all year. You can't say that of the Rams, but I mean, that's what I think it'll come down to. It'll just be a rope-a-dope situation. They'll wear out the defense. I think the Rams are going to come out strong. I think there is even a chance we might see them be ahead at halftime. But after that, the halftime adjustments, I think the third and fourth quarter will just be a tale of catch-up for the Rams, and just the Patriots move out ahead early. That's my guess. So 38-28 New England is my guess.
Wait, 38-28?
I'm sorry, 31-28.
Sure
I just read it wrong.
Yeah.
31-28 New England.
You know, Matt, I think you're definitely correct, and I think, you know, the reason the Pats lost to the Eagles was not that the Eagles had a spectacular game, it's that the Pats had a crappy game. And I think the Patriots, to lose, really have to beat them. I don't think if after Sunday the Rams are the Super Bowl champions, we're not going to be sitting around saying, wow, Jared Goff, holy shit, C.J. Anderson, Todd Gurley, what a great game. No, we're going to be saying, wow, Bill Belichick and the Pats really blew it. They played awful. I really think that's how you have to beat them, is they have to beat themselves, and they don't do that very often.
That's 100% right. They have to beat themselves. You want to know how the Eagles beat Brady and Belichick? They played out of their minds. They played out of their minds and above their heads. That's how you beat them. You have to just throw crazy shit at them, like that Philly special that Belichick just had never thought of before. Basically,
and by the way, you have to do it for 4 quarters, which is what Atlanta failed to do because they had them for two and a half quarters
out of the gate. Yeah, Atlanta for 3 out of the 4 quarters. Atlanta did that. And then it all just fell apart.
Their victory against Seattle only happened because of that interception. Seattle was right there about to score it with 20 seconds or something left. I mean, it's a lot of luck too has led to them winning some of these Super Bowls. So they can be beaten. Don't make that mistake thinking they can't be. But I think you make a good argument there, Matt. And I think you'd agree with me in saying I don't think it'd be a surprise if either team won.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is going to be a close game. I don't think that neither one is going to be a slouch. I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to experience. I'm trying to think Rams players that have been in a Super Bowl before.
I think there's 4.
Aqib Talib.
Yes.
Akeem Talib. Yep, because he was with Denver.
Yep.
He's the only one I can.
Brandon Cooks was with the Patriots last year.
That's right.
In the Super Bowl, didn't win, but he played.
Brandon Cooks. Yeah.
I think the because there's these storylines ESPN's always talking about. It's that I think it's like 4 to like Patriots have like 36 or something players who have played in a Super Bowl before.
Well, that's it.
So a lot more experience.
A tale of experience there. It's a big game. There's a lot of pressure. The Patriots have been there 9 times. I mean, Brady's been there 9 times since 2000. So
the other thing you have to think about too, Patriots did not play the Rams this year. So they don't have a lot of tape. They don't have a lot of experience with them, and vice versa. So that's kind of what makes this matchup interesting versus some of the other teams the Patriots have played and beaten in Super Bowls past. But Matt, we have got to pick our MVPs, our game MVPs last year. I called you crazy for picking Nick Foles. I said, Nick Foles can't be a Super Bowl MVP. That's against the rules. But no, you were correct, and you earned a point for that.
Anything goes.
Well done. Who do you have as the MVP this year?
I think you could probably guess. I want you to guess.
Greg Zuerlein, the kicker.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. Could you imagine if a kicker won the MVP?
That would be kind of neat. I would root for them. I would cheer for them.
I mean, I think it's possible, right? I think if you won with like a score of like 12-7 and every point was scored by the kicker, you kind of have to give it to the kicker, don't you?
I think you would have to. Especially the kicker was an integral part of that win. No, I have Tom Terrific. Tom Brady is my pick for MVP. I don't see it happening any other way. If the Patriots win, it's got to be Brady.
And frankly, it wouldn't surprise me if he won even if the Rams won because he's goddamn Tom Brady. So, crazier things have happened. Matt, that makes sense. I mean, I think if the Patriots win the Super Bowl, who else could win? I think Gronk winning would be a great storyline. I just don't think he'd have a good enough game. He'd have to score like 4 or 5 touchdowns to...
Yeah, and this could be something I could be wrong about, but I don't think that Gronk is going to have a great Super Bowl.
I mean, I think he'll have a good Super Bowl, like blocking, which he's actually done a good job of this season. But in terms of like the flashy stuff the voters look for
in the end zone, I think it's going to be all Talib. I think he's gonna kind of outpace him. I mean, crazier things have happened, but I see it's got to be Brady.
I think. I could also see again if all of their points are scored by a Sony Michel or a James White. I think, okay, maybe. But, he's Tom Brady. He's going to win. Boy, if the Rams win, that's a tough one because they got a couple really interesting star players. Jared Goff, obviously, if it's a big passing game, it's possible. I think, obviously, C.J. Anderson or Todd Gurley. Running backs have certainly won it in the past. And you got to give an interesting shout-out to Aaron Donald. I mean, he's the best defensive player in the league. If he sacks Tom Brady 3 or 4 times in this game... Von Miller won it a couple years ago when Peyton Manning was a walking husk of himself that somehow won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Von Miller won it that year. So defensive players have done it before. Oh, boy, Matt. This is a tough one for me to pick.
That's right. You got to go with...
and I want to go with Tom Brady, but I don't want to pick the same as you because that's no fun.
Well, how could you pick Tom Brady if you're saying that the Rams are going to win is in your prediction?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean... that's called hedging your bets.
Yeah, okay.
That way I get points either way. You kind of made the mistake, and that's the mistake I made last year. I picked the Patriots and Tom Brady.
I went whole hog.
And you picked the Eagles and the Foles, and you got a couple of points out of it. So maybe it's better to split your bets. Who knows?
Depends on your strategy, I guess. I mean, you could pick Brady. That'd be fine.
But then it's no fun because you already picked him, so we're both going to get a point. So I really should pick somebody different, but it's like on the Rams. Who are you going to pick?
I think you have even more options. I kind of was forced to pick Brady. I didn't want to. I would have loved to have picked James White, but I just don't think that if the Patriots win, I don't think it can be anyone else.
The Vegas odds have Tom Brady as 1, Goff as 2, Gurley as 3, Sony Michel as 4, C.J. Anderson as 5, and Aaron Donald as 6. Boy, I guess I'm going to lean into, if the Rams win, it's because they had a great defense on Tom Brady. I'm going to pick Aaron Donald, which is kind of crazy. But if the Rams win, it's not because Goff had some balls out game. The only thing I'm leaning towards is that the MVP they always pick a quarterback. That's like a no-brainer. But I'm gonna.
Sean, I think that's a smart pick. I think
I'm,
for you,
you just want me to not get a point.
I know. If I were in your, all right, I'll be honest. If I were in your shoes, I would pick Goff. But just because of the reason you said that the QB is usually the darling of the game.
But he can't be good enough to. But I said about Nick Foles too. So.
But Goff is also, you have to remember, Goff has the story behind him. Goff is the youngest quarterback to appear in a Super Bowl.
But he's not flashy or interesting.
He's got the story. He's just
but
that.
Aaron
That
Donald
alone
is the
makes
highest
him
paid defensive player in the league.
But
You know.
Yeah, so he has the story there too. But he's also not a quarterback.
But how does Von Miller win it over
the youngest quarterback?
How does Von Miller win it over Peyton Manning? For God's sake.
Because, like you said, Peyton Manning was a shell of a person.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's very obvious that he didn't really win that game.
He had a mediocre game. But that's what I'm saying. So I'm betting that the Rams win and Aaron Donald gets Tom Brady on the ground constantly and breaks his fucking leg or something. I don't know. But that's he's going to have a breakout.
Could you imagine if I think that
would be
half of this country would just have an orgasm or something.
That would be tragic. Very sad. Now, Matt, we've got one more question we have to answer before we wrap it up. This is one we've done every year since we started. I would argue a classic, certainly a Vegas classic, and that is what color Gatorade will be dumped on the coach, the winning coach, at the end of the game. I looked back in our records. One year there was the year of the Atlanta Patriots Super Bowl. There was no dump because it was so crazy at the end of the game. They didn't do it. Nobody got points. Last year, you bet clear, which, okay, I bet orange, and it was green, so nobody got a point. This year, Matt, the odds are, according to Vegas, from most likely to least likely, green, yellow, they kind of combine. Orange, blue, red, clear, purple. From most likely to least likely. Matt, what color do you think will be dumped on the coach this year?
I get my first pick.
You get to pick first, sure.
Sean, this is my favorite category. It absolutely is. I wrote down, and I'm going to stick by it, orange.
Okay.
I pick orange Gatorade.
That's very interesting. Why orange?
Because last year I failed so hard by picking clear. Looked it up. Apparently, they've only used clear Gatorade twice, I think. I don't even know if they make clear Gatorade.
I think it's water. I think it's just water.
It would just be water. I say orange. I say that they dumped the orange Gatorade on Bill Belichick, the winning coach.
Okay.
What color are they going to dump on Sean McVay?
I think so I'm going to just do a thought in my head that they want something that photographs really well. I'm going to assume somebody is thinking about this ahead of time. Probably not. What photographs really well?
Orange.
No, better than orange. You want a bright color.
Yellow.
And I'm thinking again, what's the one color these two teams share?
Oh.
Blue.
Okay.
Going to look good in a picture. There's a good chance both teams could use it, so I'm kind of doubling my bet here regardless of who wins.
Blue Gatorade happens to be my favorite Gatorade.
And it's a good Gatorade. So
it is very
I'm
good
going
Gatorade.
with blue. I feel good about that.
If I were still a spry young athlete, I would drink blue Gatorade.
I never liked Gatorade. I thought it was I never understood. And I get okay, maybe athletes. I never understood people who drink Gatorade for fun because they like the taste when they're not working out. Gatorade's gross.
So I have
me?
I have a weird experience. I never drank Gatorade in exercises or practices or whatever. I would drink just water because that's all my parents would let me have. But I drank Gatorade when I was sick every once in a while.
Sure.
If I got
those electrolytes.
Yeah, for the electrolytes. So that's my relationship with Gatorade is it's like tea. I only would, and I still do. I only drink hot tea if I'm sick or I feel like I'm getting sick. Gatorade, I have that same relationship with. That a lot of other people connect it with sports and working out and being at your best, but I never really. Yeah, I guess I never really cared for it. I think that was because I drank it when I was sick. Yeah, it is a salty drink. It's a drink. It's one of those beverages that makes you more thirsty.
It's unpleasant. And I don't know because I know people who drink it like fruit juice, and it's not fruit juice. It's worse for you than fruit juice. If you're not working out, you're just drinking salt, buddy. That's what Gatorade. Electrolytes. No, it's salt. That's what it is. I literally never understood the appeal of Gatorade.
I think it's for people that really, really work out like intensely, like on the commercials where they're literally sweating the Gatorade.
Yeah, hey, good for them. I hope they get those electrolytes. But Joe sitting on his couch drinking a Gatorade, it's like, dude, come on, like drink a soda. Like even that is like at least tasty.
Yeah,
I never understood that. Oh boy,
I wonder what spiked Gatorade would taste like.
Oh,
it's basically like jungle juice, isn't it?
But you know what? Actually, you're not wrong. But you know what? Maybe that's like a hangover cure type thing where you're getting the electrolytes while you're drinking, so you don't get hungover.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, Matt.
Maybe you just drink that if you have an alcohol problem.
Wow. This is like a good idea. An athletic sports alcoholic beverage.
That's nothing.
For when you're working out.
Yep. When you're on the treadmill and
you're using exercise equipment.
You want to get a little bit shitty. Yeah.
Could you imagine somebody like downing a bottle before like a marathon race and they're just passed out on the ground?
Oh, I can see it.
Wow. Had so much potential, and then we just
yeah, I think there's still something there. We could probably hash it out. One of our patented Creative Minds episodes.
Wow.
That the fans love.
Our show. I do have on my list of episode ideas to do a creative challenge that's Shark Tank, where we got to come up with product ideas and then pitch them.
Not a bad
I feel
idea.
Like we'd be good on that.
So there you have it. This is probably the first time we've picked the same score.
It absolutely is the first time.
I don't think that's ever happened.
But I will also say, weird. I think we set the record for most disagreements because I think we really only combined on the not breaking the 75-point record. Otherwise, we're completely disagreeing, which I think like almost never happens. So somebody will definitely win. That is for sure. And the good news, Matt, is again, now for the 4th year in a row, I will be live tweeting the Super Bowl, announcing the scores as the game happens. So you will know as the game goes on, boom, 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 and after the Lombardi trophy is hoisted and the confetti is flying, you will know who has won our 4th annual Super Bowl Prop Bet Challenge. How exciting.
That is exciting.
So you can follow us at Up for Debate TV on Twitter. That's the best way to get it. Follow us now so you get the tweets when they come out on Super Bowl Sunday.
That's my favorite part of this whole experience, Sean.
Fun.
Your tweets. I like your tweets.
It's fun. It's and then you tweet at the Up for Debate account. And we go back and forth and.
Yep. Yeah, it's a fun time. I think it would be great if we got some fan participation as well. But
yeah, maybe we'll do like some polls and stuff during the game. I don't know. We'll play. We'll have some fun. Check it out. Add Up for Debate TV, and we will be back next week with. I know, Matt, the Super Bowl. Nobody is interested in talking about. We're going to do 2 episodes on. We'll be back next week to reveal the results, announce the winner, and recap and review what we thought of the pregame, the game, the commercials, the halftime show, everything Super Bowl. We will be covering next week here on the show, so you're going to want to come on back. UpForDebate.tv is our website. If you're listening to this and somehow aren't subscribed, I don't understand how you got it, but do please subscribe. There's the link on the website, or you can get us anywhere you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. We're now on Spotify, which is very exciting, Overcast, all the major podcast players, and the video version is on YouTube as well. I mentioned our Twitter account. You can also email us, upfordebatetv@gmail.com. We love hearing from you, so please reach out. And let's see, is there anything else the folks out there need to know? I think that's about it. I usually don't do a lot of cross-plug shows on this show in particular, but I do want to brag. Check out Game Nights over at GameNights.tv. Myself and Matt and Colby and Dan are having a blast playing Dungeons & Dragons. We just published a great episode. 2 words for you, Bog Harpy. I don't think I need to say more than that, other than we get a NPC in real trouble. It's a blast. It's a great episode. We're having fun. It's at GameNights.tv or wherever you get podcasts. Just search Game Nights. Excellent. Anything else, Matt?
No, I think that's about all from me. Enjoy the games, everybody.
Enjoy the big game. Have some guac and some chili, and have a grand old time.
Hey, that's an episode we haven't done yet, Sean. Is Super Bowl snacks.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's Matt. If the game is really boring, I'm sure we'll get to it next week because we got to fill an hour. So
Indeed.
be sure to come back with us next week to hear more Super Bowl. But until then, he is Matt. I am Sean. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time for a Super Bowl episode of Up for Debate.